Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. Welcome to the Commonwealth cabin. We've got an interesting topic today. It was something I saw the other day and I thought, this is something we should talk about a little bit. Is the reselling, the full-time reselling dream over? Is that something that's really just not possible for most people today? And I want to talk about it a little bit and maybe even give you a little insight on some things that you don't know about me. Like I said in the intro today, this is something I think that applies to different individuals in a different way. And I want to explore that a bunch today. I've got a lot of stuff to pull here as well. Sales are okay right now, which is really cool. But I definitely want to preface it with saying this at the very beginning. And there's a lot of new subs to this channel all the time. Every video we put out, there's 10 to 100 new subscribers, depending on the video. And just for those of you who have not been around this channel for a while, I am not a full-time reseller. If you define a full-time reseller as somebody who makes all of their income from reselling, puts in, 40 to 60 hours a week like you would at a normal job, I've never been that. I've never claimed to be that at all. But I think that is relevant to a lot of people because when you hear the word full-time reseller, it means a very different thing to different people depending on who you are and where you're at in your life. And I want to talk about each of those scenarios today. And I want to talk about the application of doing any of those things in today's reselling market with the platforms the way they are, and talk about each platforms and maybe even look into the future a little bit. Let's go take a look at some of these items that have sold today while we do this conversation. For those of you who don't know much about me, I was a high school history teacher for over 20 years, and I quit doing that in order to do, if you want to call it full-time reselling, in order to do this. And my story is not like many other people's stories, so I want to get that right out of the gate. And that's kind of the point, though, is everybody's situation is different. So Samurai Showdown, I mentioned this the other day. I thought I had sold it, but actually it's sold, but the payment didn't come through. And Chucky, a guy who buys a lot of video games from us, sent a message, said he's going to pay in a couple days, and he did. So, Chucky, we appreciate you as always. Samurai Showdown Game Boy game, $27 plus shipping. And that first sale is an example of how my situation is obviously different. I've talked about it before. I'll mention it again today. This Kyle Petty t-shirt that has some issues on it, but it is single stitch in pretty good condition other than a few little stains here and there. It's made in the USA. This one sold for $20.85 plus shipping. So I want to get to the topic, but to avoid criticism, of course, I'm going to mention this one more time. I quit my job, but I would not have quit my job to become a full-time reseller the way that I resell had it not been for social media. We do get viewer sales. We make money off of social media. There's other income streams that are coming in. And that's really what I want to get into today is different people's perception of what full-time is. Just a little preview here. Some people see that as a dream, because they hate their job and they want to get out of it. And they want to completely replace all the income that's coming into their house doing reselling. And that is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. There's a lot of people listening right now who have done just that. But there's a whole bunch of other scenarios involved here and different people in different situations. I want to talk about each of those. I just wanted to clarify that and clarify this. I spend the majority of my time doing social media about reselling. Now, part of it, obviously it's all mixed together, but I guarantee you I spend more time on the social media aspect than I do on the reselling part of it. And so in that sense, I'm still part-time. It's not a full-time, well, it is a full-time income. The reselling part of it is, but it is not my full-time income collectively. So, those are just some things I wanted to get out there before we started. To clarify a little bit for you new folks, I make more money now just on the reselling side of my business by a large margin than I did as a high school history teacher. But of course, even the reselling side of it, how much money I make, is influenced by the social media and with viewer sales and whatnot sales and stuff like that. That was an expansion of my business that I decided to do. But I have people help me with the whatnot side of my business. And my margins aren't nearly as good because of it. But I still do the traditional eBay reselling the way I've always done it. This is a little wallet chain, Harley Davidson wallet chain. Can you all see those? I don't know if it's a good enough picture or not, but These sell decent. We've sold a few of them. This one sold for $30 plus shipping. So the first topic I want to get into, or the first scenario maybe I should say, I'm looking for an XL here. Sahara XL. This is a new in package orange bowl FSU vintage polo. And I think it sold for $39.95 plus shipping. My scenario was I had a teaching income, I had a very small coaching stipend, and I drove a bus. That was our income, and then in addition, we were reselling, and that helped us make ends meet. My wife was not bringing in income outside of the house. She was helping me do the reselling, as she still does. So, you know, full-time reselling, when there's somebody else in the house that's making an income, that's providing benefits and all those things, might allow somebody who might be the lower wage earner in the home to come home. And there's so many benefits to that. And so I think that type of full-time reselling is really an opportunity and still out there for tons and tons of people. But maybe it's becoming a little bit less with all of the economic pressures that some people feel. And in addition to that, I'd also say, where's your starting point? We were fortunate enough. We had no debt. We had never been people that used credit cards, accumulated debt, bought things that were far beyond what we could afford. We always lived under our means, even when our income was really low. And that allowed me to take this step along with some other things. Speaking of other things, I'm going to jump ahead of my little list over here. And this is one of those other things. And this is crazy to some people. But the fact that we started doing YouTube and we started selling these like crazy just really, really convinced me. I know this is nuts to some people, but convinced me that this was a possibility for us to be able to do this. So this is the Fleet Enaman. Everybody who's been watching the show knows what this is. And Jenny bought this one. So Jenny, we appreciate it. And, you know, your eBay store might need a little boost, get things moving. And I hope this guy gets things moving for you. And this was really not in the script today, but I just pulled that and I looked over here, and that's the last one we have as far as that last batch that came in. And so now at this point, we're going to slow down how many we put out there on eBay on auction, and they'll be coming from these two bins. And I like these two bins in here because it's been a staple of, this is the house that Enaman built. And it's really more than that to me. And if you knew the numbers, and I'll do a video on the full numbers of it at one point, you would see what I'm talking about. But thank you, Ginny, for that purchase. And, you know, I don't even know how to I even get somewhat emotional talking about a plush enema right here, because that thing really did change my life. And there's other factors in this. And you know this, if you've been watching this channel for a while. I've never, ever said, hey, quit your job, become a reseller, start a YouTube channel, your life will never be the same. And I never will say that. Is that a possibility for some folks? It absolutely is. It happened to me. I'm eternally grateful for it. I cannot even express that. It totally changed my life. And I totally get the feeling of somebody just, I want to be home with my kids. I want to not have to do this job that I hate. I don't want to be tied down. But I just encourage people all the time to look at your whole situation, look at your family's income, look at your future, look at your retirement, because I gave up a pension to do this. You know, I could have, if it wasn't for the success of YouTube, I would not have made this decision. If it wasn't for that thing right there, I would not have made this decision. And I think it's really important that people don't put things at risk like I did to some degree. I mean, I put a pension. I would have continued to resell the way I did and teach for another 9 years. And then I would have retired and got a pension. Would I then be a full-time reseller if I have a pension coming in? I think that's where a lot of people become resellers full-time, right? That's what they do as a job full-time, whether it's 10 hours because it's the only job they do, or if it's 50 hours, there's other income coming in. So, you know, it's all a matter of how you describe full-time. In the eBay cave, sold a couple more Nike dry fit tees, one small, one medium, but I got to correct the record on these. When this video came out on the Commonwealth Picker channel, I realized I paid more for them than I thought I had and what I had said in here. I've been selling these quite a bit lately, and it's still going to be an amazing deal. I was speculating somewhere around $1,600, and it's more going to be like $1,500 in profit for that box that I bought down there. And there's two reasons. One is there were slightly under 100 of them, although I kept some for myself, and I paid $175. In my mind, I had wanted to pay $100, And I think we settled, I think he said 200, and then I said, how about 150? We settled on 175. So I paid $175 instead of 100, and there was a few less than I thought. So, you know, we're closer to just under, I guess, just under $2 for these, maybe $1.80 or so, as opposed to being around $1. So that'll give you an idea. I just wanted to clarify that so nobody would yell at me. And I want to talk a little bit about some other scenarios, but I also want to talk about model for reselling. And I have a cross-listing sale, so that's cool. So these sold, how much did we get for these? $37.47 all in, $24.70 plus shipping. Sylvester and Elmer Fudd and the Roadrunner sold. So, you know, sometimes that cross-listing sales can really help out just a little bit each day, and that's what happened here. If you hear some noise out there, Turner's out there playing with the dog, hoping to play wiffle ball with me in a little bit, and I'm hoping to play wiffle ball with him too, which is kind of what this whole thing was about. You know, I never saw my kids, for goodness sake. They were in school. We since homeschool. I was in school, I was coaching, I was driving a bus, and it's just like, how long can I do this? And there's other pressures as well. And so it really was, it wasn't a necessity, but man, I wanted it bad. That's why I started making YouTube videos. It's why I started. And, you know, I'm fortunate that it worked. But for every one of me, there are 10 of me that did the same thing and it didn't work. And so there's no magic formula. I still don't know why it worked for me. But there was I just felt like it was a perfect storm of things. And it did. But there's other scenarios out there for folks that really impact why they are wanting to do this. And some of you don't want to do this, so this isn't a conversation for everybody. It's just a hobby. It's just something fun. But I'm speaking to the folks out there that dream of this because they want to get out of that job. Let me know the scenarios down below that you might be in, and if you do have that dream. I'm curious to know how many people who watch this stuff, you know, really do want to quit their job and do this full time. So let's talk about models, and I've said this before. If I were to 100% quit my job and get all of my income, 100% of it from reselling, I would not do it in the way that I do it right now. I would find sources like crazy because it is very possible. It is not dead. Reselling, in my opinion, is still getting better. There are challenges. There's a lot more work involved. There's cross-listing possibilities. There's different platforms. There's all kinds of different stuff. But it is still very, very possible to do this full time, depending on where you're at, depending on where your sources are, depending on if you can still tap into the thrifting market. I can't do that around here anymore. Very, very little. But there are still opportunities out there. But for those folks that like, oh, I'm going to quit my job, go thrifting, and make, you know, $100,000 a year net profit, whew, boy, you better live in an area that really has good stuff. And while I'm saying that the dream of full-time reselling is still alive, there are these challenges, and margins are tighter because sourcing is more expensive, shipping is more expensive, fees just slowly grow up. All right, y'all. I can't keep talking about the topic. This is a nutcracker right here, and I don't even remember where I bought this. And this is a viewer sale, along with a strange connection here, strange combo sale, these Cabela pants that we finally got listed. And let me give you the total for these. I don't know if they're separated or not. Let's see. This sold for $17 plus shipping. Do I have that right? Yep. And the pants sold for $25 plus shipping. And they went to Melissa, so thank you, Melissa. Perhaps you could roll the nutcracker up in these and send me a small refund, since I'm a repeat buyer and all. Thanks, Kevin, and to Blue Ridge Mama as well. So you are very welcome, and we will do just that. I could write myself a note. Sometimes I forget. If I ever say I'll do it and I forget, remind me, because it is my intention to do that for folks, especially repeat buyers and viewers. So, you know, again, viewer sale. So that's the second, well, third if you count the Animan right there, right? And maybe even, you know what, I think one of these were. So we've got, you know, typically it's 20 to some days 30% of the sales are viewer sales. Now, would all of that stuff have sold? Yes, absolutely. Every single thing here would have sold to a non-viewer eventually. But the speed of it is really, really important. Turning things over and making money. Would this have sold? Yeah, it had viewers on it already. Would this have sold? Absolutely, no doubt it would have sold for that price, for sure. Would these have sold? Yes. As quickly? No. Would that have sold for that price? No chance whatsoever. With a video game, yes, it was out there for nanoseconds. It would have sold for sure. So those are factors that are a little different for me than they are for some other folks. Let me find if a viewer bought one of those. Actually, it was not a viewer who bought one of those. It was somebody who bought some other ones. At least I don't think it is. Lee, L-Y, bought them. So they just said, hey, you know, I've already bought some from you. I'd like to buy some more. And so it's just a repeat buy that I don't think is a viewer. Sold another one of the baseball cubes. Actually, I think I've sold two. I'm going to bring another one out. I think one just sold today. So these baseball cubes have been going out of here, not for a lot of money, $8 plus shipping, but we did have a bunch of them. So we'll take it. And one of the cubes was to a viewer, one was not. Thanks, Kevin. Love your shows and all you do for the community. Thanks for educating the masses on how to pick. I'll tell you what, I appreciate that. But that's Squirrely MC Jones Face. That's an interesting name. I will say this. I have been educated by the community more than I've educated the community. And that is the fact of the matter. When I started doing YouTube videos, I've been picking for a long time. I knew quite a bit. But man, it's like never ending how much information is out there and how much better you can get. I think that's another factor. To quit your job before you're really an expert in what you're doing. And I don't even feel like I'm an expert. But I certainly know enough to know what the heck I'm doing. That's another consideration as well. So, you know, if you're one out there dreaming to do this, you know, gobble up all the information. And there's tons of free information. I mean, there's this show, but there's 80 shows out there. There's all kinds of information that you can get. And to be honest with you, the folks that do this the best, that are full-time resellers, they have sources, they have methods, and they're pretty reluctant to get on and say all that stuff on YouTube, which maybe should give you an idea that there are so many better ways to source. Now, there's nothing better for me because I just love the way I do this. But there are better ways if you're absolutely doing this for a full-time income. Sold a pair of Desert Camos, Marpat, I think is the brand. This would be something I'd pass on all day long, to be honest with you. But once I was at the sale and I realized everything was so cheap, I started pulling everything out of there and getting them for like $1. And I'm like, yeah, $1 into $16.95 plus shipping. I'll take that for sure. The other thing I'm thinking about here, as I watch my boy out here, is, you know, what's more valuable to you? Are you willing to take a pay cut to be able to have this kind of freedom and stuff? And some people just aren't. This sold for $18 plus shipping. It's a vintage Dale button-up shirt with a few little issues right here. And, you know, what is your cost of living? What does it take to make you happy? And I've just always been somebody who is very content with, I don't have to be the richest person in the world and have nice cars and whatever. I value sitting under that tree in the springtime. I value watching my boy play ball. I value all that stuff far more than I value money. And so I was willing to, I don't know if I was willing to take less money because I was basically squeaking by, but I was certainly willing to do something and put aside any opportunity cost to make more, although I didn't have much opportunity cost to make more, to be honest with you, with a history major and teach. I mean, there wasn't that many jobs out there that I'm qualified for, to be honest with you. Don't have that many skills. But, you know, are you willing to take that pay cut? Are you willing to put in maybe more hours? You know, it just depends on what you value. And I think cost of living is a huge thing as well. We'll talk about that in a second. The next one here wasn't my best buy necessarily, but we're still making money off it, and I couldn't resist it. It's only $10 plus shipping for this little Teddy Ruxpin plush, and I'll take it. Cost of living is a huge, huge deal. Where you live, where you can, you know, what can you source in the area you live in. But, you know, now you can source all over the country. These online auctions, and they do shipping and stuff. There's all kinds of different ways to source. But I don't think that is as important as what your cost of living and what you need to survive is if you're trying to make this decision. So, you know, Dave, you guys know we do the Trash to Cash podcast with ADH Dave. And, you know, looking at his numbers, I talked about this with him for a long time before he ever did quit his job. He was making a ton of money. And his cost of living was really, really high for multiple reasons. One, because you spend too much, Dave. And you spend too much on boxes and shipping and all that stuff too. But that's just a different side note. And my cost of living here is really, really cheap. I don't need that much money to survive. You know, if we live out in the rural area, taxes are low. The mortgage on my house, I've said this before, I pay $730 a month for a mortgage. I don't have car loans. I don't have any of that stuff. So I think all that stuff is really, really significant. The dream is not dead, but I think it is absolutely necessary for you to factor in all these things. I've been selling a lot of t-shirts lately. Maybe it's the springtime. This is a modern one. No tag even, screen printed tag, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge RX. 24. Size large sold for $15.95 plus shipping. I would venture to guess that a very, very small percentage of resellers, I'm going to say in the, not even the single digits, low single digits, are full-time resellers that work 40 to 60 hours a week, and all of their income, all of it comes from reselling. If that's you, put a comment below. Let me know if you're a full-time reseller, but you have other income coming in. I think people, you know, maybe they listen to shows like this and they see what people are doing and they're like, oh, that's, you know, a dream and that's what I want to do. But I'm just curious how many people out there actually qualify under those two scenarios. This is a viewer sale, Tupperware, 2 bowls, that's all. $8.05 plus shipping. Renee bought these, thank you. I thought I saw a cat sneak in here. You snuck in right behind me. I didn't even see you until I saw you walking down there. She undoubtedly came in here for one of two reasons, or both, to get treats and to get the heck away from Wallen. It has been a month of Sundays since I've got into this bin, Creative Memories bin. But we did make a sale. I think it's this big one right there. We got a few of the little ones left, and that's it. We had a ton of them. But man, it's been a long time since we sold this. I think this is the right one. Story of My Adoption, Nancy O'Dell collection. At any rate, this one sold for $20 plus shipping. I was about ready to put Pepper out, but she hid from me. Come on, I'll give you a treat and let you out. Let's go. While we're at it, tell me if you are you consider yourself full-time reseller and there is other income coming from another spouse in the house. I think that's a much, much greater number. And I think that's where a lot of people are at. You know, maybe one of the spouses makes less money and it would be more ideal for their family situation if they were at home. Let me know if you're a couple out there who both work as full-time resellers to make it work. Or maybe one of you work outside the house and part-time as a reseller with a full-time reseller. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't even like the word part-time, full-time. It's almost exclusionary. That's why I tell myself all the time I'm a part-time seller. You know, it's a way in today's world, the way we live today, it's just a matter of, can collectively you get your income from whatever source to the point where you're happy and you're able to prepare for the future as well. I had 2 little SnapOn Tools drill kits that I didn't know where they were, to be honest with you. I bought them a long time ago, and when I got them out, this one was missing one. All right, still missing one. This is the one that sold. They weren't going for what they were going for when I bought them. But actually, I take it back. This one was, and this one wasn't. This was going for a little less. But you know what? We still listed it and sold it out of the death pile, $12.95 plus shipping. All right, y'all. We just had a little homeschool science class right here real quick. So Turner has a joke for you that has to do with the science lesson. Anyway. Science, math. What am I talking about? Go ahead.
Who was the fattest knight at King Arthur's Round Table?
Who was the fattest knight at King Arthur's Round Table? You tell me.
Circumference.
Circumference. Very good. I like that joke. We should go watch A Sword in the Stone. I'd like to do that with you. Would you do that with me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Sold another skull cap, and this is the kind of thing, it's not a lot of money, but, you know, it's the kind of thing I think is necessary. Turner's back. What are you looking for? You lose something? Water bottle. I don't know. He found it. There you go. See you in a minute. All right, what am I talking? Oh, skull caps. You know, we've slowly sold these. This box was full, and it still looks full, right? But it's not quite. We're maybe 25% of the way down on them. And we're not making much on each one. Maybe $4.20 profit on each one. So I'm at $10.95. Actually, a little bit more than that. But, you know, eventually, over time, this kind of stuff adds up. And you just make a little bit all the time. And we sell a few a month, you know, 5 or 6 or so. $10.95 free shipping. Hey, you know, I forgot to announce the winner for the My Reseller Genie 1 month free. By the way, there's been a ton of great feedback on that. Their new feature, walking you through it, and everything's been awesome. So, but I wanted to announce the winner. Send me an email. Genie, Ginny C65. I think that's right. Send me an email at commonwealthpicker@gmail.com, and I will give you that QR code or send that thing off to you or whatever it is I'm going to do. And you get 1 month free to try it out over there. Which reminds me of something else. And, you know, obviously I promo stuff every now and again. But that is a huge, huge part of this business going forward. you know, with reporting things and making sure that everything is right, and making sure that you have a system in place. It doesn't have to be my Reseller Genie, although they're amazing, where you can write off everything that's write-offable, if that's a word. Because, man, you can really get hit with some taxes on this if you don't do the right things. They're still going to get you one way or another. You're making profit, you're going to pay something. But that is a huge, huge part of this, because if you don't get that stuff straight, it whittles away at your margins and you end up not making as much as you think you're making. All right, even though we have unofficially run out of number 1s, we still got number 2s back there, just a few of them, although we might not have any in CommonwealthPicker.com. They might be over on Whatnot. And we have number 3s at CommonwealthPicker.com. What are you laughing at? No. By the way, Reagan qualified for state show. Big props to her. That was awesome. Were you feeling the pressure?
A little bit.
A little bit. She didn't feel too much pressure. She's pretty cool customer. Anyway, what do we have?
Melissa got a number 2. Regina got a number 2 and an IKEA trash cash.
IKEA trash cash. I think that's all we have left of those, y'all. And the cost of those are going up too. And we've been trying to get in some new bags because people ask for them. But we still have the Commonwealth Picker ones left and a few of those. Anyway, thank you, Reagan.
Bye, and don't forget to get your sticker at CommonwealthPicker.com.
All right, y'all. Time to get to work out here on the side of the business we don't show very often. That is the bulk of the work. So, you know, let me know if you think the dream is still alive or if it's still dead. Are you down on it? Have you tried it and it didn't work for you? Have you gone back to work? Are you still doing part-time? Tell us your story down below in the comments. I'd love to hear it. I think it's good for other people who are thinking about this kind of stuff too, to hear that stuff from time to time as well. And you know, the margins are tougher, like I said. There's no doubt the margins are tougher, and everybody's being pinched just a little bit in every direction. And when the margins go down, you have to put in more work or source better or something. But I don't think it's dead. I think it's just the opposite. I think there's more opportunity than ever. That's what the next video is going to be about. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I think there's an interesting question being asked by some folks, and I want to dig into it, and I got to give you an update on a few things as well. But I got to get to work. I got to play wiffle ball. My family wants to go on a walk, and I got to run to the post office. So y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us, and I can't wait to see you next.